Hey YouTube, Awesome Writer here with another Power Rangers discussion video. I recently did my annual series of videos where I talked about what I want to see out of Rider, Sentai, and PR for 2024. I did touch briefly on what I'd like to see if and when the Lightning Collection returns in the PR one, but I thought I would do more of a dedicated video because it might not be in 2024 of what I would like to see when and if Power Rangers toys return. Just talking about both the mainline and the Lightning Collection. So let's talk about the main line first, because I think that's interesting because we don't know how the main show is going to shake out. You know, it's going to be different, I think, because it's not going to be the traditional only targeted at young kids show with the traditional sort of framework we're used to of all the basic figures, maybe some bikes, some morpher, all that type of stuff. It's going to be kind of more of a Netflix original show that's going to, I think, be targeting older kids and kind of older audiences, but also maybe trying to get, you know, young adults or adults that grew up with it to check out the reboot. So it just doesn't feel like we'd be in for as traditional of a toy line. Not to mention, as people have brought up, it's a problem recently with Hasbro, not just with Power Rangers, but with all their lines, that they've been doing this thing where they've been focusing more on the collector stuff and not as much on the main casual line for kids or cheaper lines. So I just get a feeling, again, I can't say for sure, but just a hunch, that they're going to not have a traditional full kids line like we're used to. But I think they do need to have something that's not just collector stuff. Honestly, I don't mind if we don't get regular basic figures for the reboot, if they're just basically Lightning Collection style. I almost think that would make a lot of sense, just because I'm picturing it as kind of a classic Netflix reboot show that's almost touted as a normal Netflix show and not a kids one. It just seems weird in my head in a way to have basic 5-inch figures like we've been getting. I wouldn't mind it, but I just kind of foresee it being more along the lines of Lightning Collection, and I wouldn't be mad at that if the main figures are the Lightning Collection. But I do think we should have some more not collector's grade priced things. You know, you see in the toy aisles, they do have traditional Optimus and Bumblebee toys or whatever for the current Transformer series. So I think a standard Megazord would be nice. That's both for the younger audiences that are watching it, and presuming there's a Megazord, and also for people that don't or can't afford, but you know what I mean, don't want to spend the money for a collector's grade Zap level Megazord. I mean, if they ever do one like that, sure, but I think that it would be, you know, smart to have a more reasonably priced one. Same thing with the Morpher. You know, I wouldn't mind having a nice one that's kind of Lightning Collection level or something, but I think just a standard Morpher release, and I think it needs to look better. I think, honestly, outside of the weird Nerf stuff they did with, Beast Morphers Gold, the Morphers up until Cosmic Fury did look good. You know, I respect their ambition with the amount of sounds Cosmic Fury's had, but it was pretty embarrassing looking. So I think for the main line, we just need a couple of good things. You know, Megazord, Morphers of the main ones that are just solid and look good. I don't expect it to have a kind of core presence like Bandai did in regards to a full Jungle Fury or full Beast Morphers line and stuff like that. I do think it would be cool to see them do, you know, just to have a presence in the toy aisle outside of here's the Morpher and Megazord from the reboot, kind of a legacy line of basic figures based off of past Rangers, and same things with Megazords and Morphers. I doubt that would happen, but I think if PR gets any sort of second coming going when the reboot comes out, that would be a good time to have a little bit more presence on the shelves. You know, for years, even though PR's a, you know, little thought of brand in a lot of ways, it was one of the more, not major sections, I would say, of the toy aisle, but they always had a solid presence for years. Always the solid section of a ton of toys, and now it's this little sliver. So it would be cool to see them want it to have a bit of a presence again. And, you know, we did those MMPR 5-inch anniversary figures, but we also did those triple dino packs or we just did one dino pack, but for the team up, they kind of had one Dino Thunder, one Dino Charge, one MMPR. So kind of something like that, where you would have waves of figure in the 5-inch style of legacy teams, you know, maybe giving the opportunity to have cheaper team building. I think just kind of have something around, you know, maybe we can cycle in some Cosmic Fury figures that we never got. Speaking of, I can't imagine them ever just randomly releasing a wave of Cosmic Fury figures. I think that time has passed. I hope in some form we get figures for them eventually, but my hope would be when PR toys come back, I would love to get just an Amazon exclusive pack of all the Cosmic Fury figures like we did with Dino Fury. You know, they'd eventually do a team pack. I think they did that for Beast Morphers too. I think Ninja Steel even did it in the Bandai days. You had that team pack where you got the exclusive Red Rangers. So I wouldn't mind that. Just Amazon exclusive pack of you know, classic 5-inch basic figure of the Cosmic Fury scale. But I think that would be cool for the basic line if you had a couple things for the reboot, but to fill it out, because I get a feeling the reboot too won't be as toy heavy. I mean, obviously Hasbro is a toy company and they'll be making figures and whatever they can to make money. But by that I mean not traditionally like Bandai did it, or both Bandai America and Japan. Like, I don't think we're gonna have a gimmick, and I don't think we're gonna have armored figures and bikes and all these unique stuff. I think it's just gonna be the core basics. So I think you could fill out a basic toy line with, like, you know, waves of classic figures and do a little bit of a mix. Like wave 1 could be like MMPR red and white, and then you know, Dino Charge something, Wild Force something, stuff like that. The same thing with the Megazords. Like, take that idea of that cheaper Hasbro MMPR Megazord and, you know, make it into single release and release some Megazords, like a cheaper version of Megazords from over the years, like MMPR, Wild Force, Zeo, stuff like that. I think that could be cool to have a presence and have something more affordable both for the younger fans and even for collectors that just don't want to or can't afford the higher end stuff. Now, as far as the Lightning Collection, I imagine that, you know, if and when they come back, it'll be kind of hopefully fixed. I hope. I mean, we're never going to have it perfect. I feel like we're never going to have a situation where we have no QC issues at all, no little paint problems. I'm sure there'll still be non-problems that the fans complain about. But I hope that it's just better quality, you know, where the problems are minuscule and the figures just feel solid again. But I can't foresee them just picking up where they left off. I think they'll probably be redoing a couple figures, you know, not unheard of amongst Hasbro. They've redone a bunch of Marvel and Star Wars figures over the years as they've gotten better at doing head sculpts and stuff like that. But I don't think they should just, you know, redo everything they did and ignore the stuff that they hadn't gotten to yet. I feel like they're not going to match up. Like, we only did Turbo Red before they stopped, so if they do like Turbo Green, it'll probably be a slightly different mold. And I'm going to be honest, so long as they still are in the same scale, even that, I don't get as hung up on scale as much people, but it's going to be fine for me. Like, I don't mind if their molds are a little bit different. Like, when Lightning Collection comes back, I don't expect them to look drastically different, like they're 7 inches and ripped or something. I think they'll still generally fit in. You know, like, again, there's going to be people that are like really hung up on dumb details like that of like, oh, he has this shoulder joint, he has this shoulder joint, they don't match, blah. Like, who cares? So long as they generally fit together, I think that it would be nice if they did a mix of kind of like redoing some older ones, because obviously I think they're going to come back with a few MMPR ones for like a relaunch of the Lightning Collection or whatever they do. It would just make sense. So like, make Wave 1 like MMPR white. I think that would make a lot of sense because we never did. Wave 1's not just MMPR white, by the way. That's just the first one I'm saying. But that would make a lot of sense because that started off the original Lightning Collection and we never got a reversion. But like, make Wave 1 like MMPR white and red, and then, you know, like, let's say it's got 2 more figures of ones we never did, like Turbo Green and, I don't know, RPM blue or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, do a mix of like, we're doing reversions of older ones, but also we're doing ones we've never done before. So that way you can fill out your collection from before, but also they can, you know, show off their new molds. And like I said in the previous Power Rangers video, I think they should take their time and not overwhelm us with so much stuff at once, and just take their time, slow and steady, even if the waves are fewer and far between, as we get our like footing going in terms of them being able to produce more quality figures consistently, and, you know, creating more of a demand for it. And then, of course, I'd like to see them go back to the Zap stuff. You know, I really like the Astro Megazord. I had very mixed feelings on the other ones. You know, I just want them to feel at least somewhat more worth it. Even if they kind of feel like this is still too expensive, at least make it feel more worth it and less brittle. But I wouldn't mind also them doing kind of what they were doing and bouncing around, not necessarily in order, but kind of like, oh, do an MMPR, do another season, MMPR, another season. That's totally fine. You know, I'm not like clamoring for them, but I wouldn't mind if they finished off the legacy weapons, you know, in terms of MMPR. There was like a rumor of like a HasLab funded Power Axe, which I don't know if that was ever true or not, but I wouldn't mind them finishing those off for that purpose. I'd love to see Saba, and then of course go into other weapons and stuff like that. Main thing I really want to see them go back to is Morphers. I feel like they were just weirdly very apprehensive about Morphers. Like the fact that the original Morpher was some sort of exclusive, and then they just milked all the different MMPR colored variants, and by that I would just mean the girls, which neither of them sold very well. They were both on clearance on GameStop very quickly. I imagine it would be very likely they would also come back with a new version of the MMPR Morpher, which would, again, it's been a while. Maybe some people didn't get it, so that might not be the worst thing. I think some people will roll their eyes, but again, some people didn't get it at the time. But I think when coming back, they should come back with the Tommy Morpher. Like, how we never got the green and white Morpher is crazy to me. That just seems like such a slam dunk release. And, you know, I brought it up before and people said that that's what they were going to do. But then JDF's like, let's do the Master Morpher instead, which I'm grateful for. But still, like, why would you not want to do both? It's not like that's an obscure niche release. I think I did that backwards. It's supposed to be niece. Anyway, so I wouldn't mind that. I think that they probably would do a reversioning of the mmpr morpher, but I think we need to do a green and white one. Of course, after that, I'd like to see them kind of branch out to some other stuff. I wouldn't mind to see them also bounce around, like if they wanted to do a Blue Ranger version of the morpher, but then do like a Zeonizer and stuff. But I want to see them delve more into that. It seemed weird to me that they were so apprehensive about that. Like, I don't know. That was very strange. There's probably a reason behind it, but you'd think that that would seem like a more easy sell because it's not quite as expensive as a Megazord. And I don't know. I definitely would like to see that return. But basically, I'd like to just see them, come back, try to come back a little bit better to lessen the complaints, and bring us some more quality product and some more morphers and stuff like that. And just don't put audio dramas in them like they do with the Sentai ones. But what would you like to see if and when the Lightning Collection and mainline comes back? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you can get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.